Welcome to the Early Wedge Tuesday Best Bet Show. I am your host, Eric Cohen. And hey, if you watched this show last week, there was some bad picks. All right, I'll give you that. And then there were some really good picks, like Ben Griffin winning it all. How about Patrick McDonald picking him at 66 to 1? We'll talk about that in a second. I had him at 45 to 1 in the without Scotty Scheffler market. And got to give producer Matt a early props for this awesome graphic. Third straight week that the crew has hit an outright winner. Let's bring them in now to celebrate. We have the great Jason Sobel, who you can find pretty much everywhere when it comes to the golf world. BetMGM, Sirius XM Radio. I'm sure a million more places that I haven't named here. We have the face of the early edge, the great golf bettor himself, Sia Nejad. And then Mr. Single Bullet, 66 to 1, Patrick McDonald from CBSSports.com. And the first thing he says when we text him on a Sunday afternoon is, I still hate the pick. Patrick, what's up with that?
I mean, you watched that final round, EC.
I did.
It was not an enjoyable sweat. You think Ben Griffin's just going to run away with it with that start. He's up by 5. And then after the second hole, it's just bogey after bogey, making you sweat. Matty Schmid, he's trying to throw it away. And then he comes back a little bit with that iron shot on 16, the chip in on 18. You're like, oh, my God, this thing's actually going to go to a playoff right now. So I know it cashed, but, you know, what was the juice really worth the squeeze in the years it took off my life?
Yes, the juice was worth the squeeze when I cashed it out from the sports book. So, yes, it was. Let's bring up that graphic of what we've done. Look at this. We're all contributing in our own ways. Patrick with the big winner of the year with the 110 to 1 Joe Highsmith from the Cognizant. And then, of course, Ben Griffin, 66 to 1 outright. You know, Sobel's thrown in Ryan Fox a few weeks ago. That was great. Sia, Harris English got a split with that at the PGA. You got you and Sobel got Carl Phillips at huge numbers there in Puerto Rico. We're all contributing here. And if you're following our outrights, you are making some money. Sobel, your thoughts on that final round, what we saw there at the Charles Schwab, was it as gross to you as it was to Patrick and me?
Look, I just want a little bit of credit. I'll give most of the credit to you guys, but I told Patrick on the early Wedge show on Sunday, it's a done deal. Ben Griffin is going to win this thing.
No wonder we almost lost.
You know, now he's definitely going to lose. I said, no, start counting your money now. So I want like just a little, like a little iota of credit in that I didn't call Ben Griffin, but I called Patrick calling Ben Griffin. So there we go.
All right, Sia, we need to talk about this because last year on this show, I mushed one of your picks in progress during the show. We have a rule that we do not guarantee things going forward, correct?
Yeah, I thought, if memory serves, Patrick and I were on the same outright, and you basically threw out a text like, good job, guys, like, what a great pick. And then it just proceeded to tank. I can't remember exactly what. I wish I could.
It was a baseball game too. I was like, oh, parlay. Yeah. It was Sia's pick from the morning show, which had no chance of losing until
that was actually really bad. I remember that game. It was, I think it was like Phillies Nationals, and I think I might have been up 5-0 or something. And you said that's a win, and then it ended up like losing 6-5. Speaking of losing, can I just offer an apology? We've been pretty good. I've been pretty good. We've been pretty good. All of these things. Last week I was really bad. I mean, I missed everything. I'm still licking my wounds, specifically over CBS not winning Top African. The fact that Aldrich just went off all 4 rounds was so shocking to me. Good job by CBS. I like him this tournament too. Maybe we'll talk about it, but listen, there are going to be weeks like that where the week prior, not only did I hit the English split, but I won 5 out of 6 of the bets I put out. 0 for 6 this week. Like that's not good. You know, finishing positions missed, round matchups missed, and tournament matchups missed. So I got a rebound. Sorry for taking up the floor on that, but listen. You guys hit Griffin. I was on the other side of it, so I just need to put that out there.
Yeah, but here's the thing that's great about golf betting.
Gotta be better.
Miss them.
How dare you?
It's true.
Oh, you can miss them for a month and go over, and then you hit a big one like Patrick does. We had a 66 to 1, and you're a hero. Nobody remembers the last 3 weeks. They just think about that. I just throwing that out there. So let's get it this week, and let's start wherever at the Memorial. We're in Dublin, Ohio, Jack's course. All right, we're going to start. I mean, let's start with Sobel on this one. Really, your outrights? You don't like the outright odds this week?
I don't like the outright odds any week. This is just a periodic reminder that we're all crazy for betting outrights in golf based on the fact that the numbers are just so short. And the one that really put me over the edge this week was Corey Connors. This is what got me reminded of the fact that, like, all that great work we had, the screen we just put up, all the outrights we've hit this year, those are all miracles that we're hitting these numbers. They should all be 2-3 times bigger. Okay, Corey Connors. I like Corey Connors this week. I wanted a reason to bet Corey Connors this week. I think Corey Connors can win this week. Corey Connors has played 203 PGA Tour events. He has 2 career victories. I'm not great at math. That seems like just about 1 in 100. Seems like his odds should be 100 to 1. What's he in the market this week? He's right around 28 to 1. Tell me how that makes any sense whatsoever. I just feel like it's a monopoly. The books, they're all putting it in there together. I just feel like we should get better odds on outright plays, especially on guys who aren't the Scotty Schefflers and Rory McIlroys who have made a habit of winning. This is just a periodic reminder. Corey Connors is the one that put me over the edge this week, but for the most part, like, I don't know, we're trying to figure out a puzzle that might have a missing piece every week. That, you know, I feel like, I don't know, am I the only one here that the odds are just too short for everybody on a given basis?
So Corey Connors, 30 to 1, 28 to 1, somewhere in that ballpark. Do you know who the player right directly in front of him on the odds board that I'm looking at? Tommy Fleetwood. How many PGA Tour wins does he have?
Exactly. No, you're making my point for me.
Yeah. You can't bet him at 25 to 1. You can't do it.
Right.
And if you want to parlay him in and put him with some French Open picks tomorrow and get him at 100 to 1, I respect it. You can't bet him at 25 to 1. All right. So Patrick, you think we shouldn't even play this week because we already know the winner?
Yeah, it worked out last week for me, so I'll say it again. Scotty Scheffler is going to win this golf tournament. You think about what Muirfield Village asked of players. It's pretty much to be Scotty Scheffler, long and straight off the tee, great with your mid and short irons, good around the greens. And this year, he's a great putter as well. Only player in this field who ranks inside the top 20 in every strokes gained metric the last 3 months. He is first tee to green, first total strokes gained, first off the tee, first on approach. And I think Scheffler might win by, I put the spread at 3.5.
Wow.
And I'm taking it.
Okay. All right. Now, Sia, if Scheffler's going to win, then what's the next thing we need to focus on?
Well, who's taking the Rory spot? Because I think, you know, we talked about a few weeks ago how, like, it's Rory's year. Now it feels like it's toggled back to Scotty's year. We know Rory's not at the Memorial. And I'm really curious who's going to step up. It's interesting what Jason just brought up as far as the outright odds. I could not agree more, which is why my outrights, I'm doing stuff in that without market. It's why my outrights are in that sort of second or third tier of golfer, because I'm not convinced that the guy that's going to step into Rory's place for second place in this tournament, because I also agree with Patrick that Scotty Scheffler is going to win. I'm not so sure it's that next tier. I don't think it's Ludwig necessarily, or Xander, or Colin, or Patrick Cantlay, or down the line. I think right now, in terms of win equity, in terms of guys that I think can win, I think it's that next tier that's just as good. We're talking about the Sepp Strakas, maybe the Siwoo Kims, who has a great history here, guys that are starting to emerge like Matt Fitzpatrick. I think they're all live. So while I agree that I don't like the outright board, I would disagree in the sense that the outrights that I'm taking are going to be longer than the Corey Connors that Jason brought up. And so in that sort of context, I like a couple of outrights here, but I just am very curious which one of these guys that we constantly expect to step up, like a Justin Thomas who has stepped up, which one of those guys assumes that second position. I'm not sure it's a familiar name to us all.
Well, I want to talk about familiar names, actually. It's a good segue because my storyline is which will the trend of repeat winners in 2025 continue this week? So we saw a few weeks ago it was Sepp Straka's turn, then Scotty Scheffler's turn. And last week, and I don't know if you really want to count the Zurich as a win for Ben Griffin, but they were talking about it on CBS as if it was his second win of the year, which counts as first to me, but okay. Regardless, we're going to continue with their repeat winners trend. Are we going to see Justin Thomas? Are we going to see Ludwig Åberg step it up? How about Victor Hovland? Sepp Straka again? Maybe Scotty again? How about Hideki Matsuyama? Those are all names I'm sure we will talk about as we go along in the show. But we want to make some money on Thursday right off the bat, so it's time for FRLs. We'll see what the guys are throwing our way. And Patrick is going to single bullet it with my actual favorite play of the week. Who is it, Patrick?
It is Colin Morikawa at 28 to 1. This guy is tailor-made for this golf course with that fade of his off the tee into the greens. So accurate with the driver in hand, so precise with the iron play too. The putter can come and go, as we all know. The short game can come and go. But for one round, he's been a first-round leader around these parts before, and I think on Thursday he gives it another good run.
Okay, fair enough. I think you gave great logic, and I guess I don't need to explain my pick later in the show. Sobel, you're going with two guys, including one that I also am picking in my outrights. Talk about Denny McCarthy.
Yeah, so first of all, you see last year, first-round leader at this event was Adam Hadwin. 2 years ago, Davis Riley. 3 years ago, Riley had a part of a six-way lead with Cam Smith, Luke List, Mackenzie Hughes, K.H. Lee, and Cameron Young. The common theme here is, first of all, no superstars, really. Maybe throw Cam Smith in there. Secondly, very few long hitters. I feel like, and having covered this event many times in the past, you get some rain during the week, but this rough is different on Thursday morning than it will be on Sunday afternoon. It's summertime just outside of Columbus, Ohio. It's the growing season. And so what you see are some guys who can keep it short, keep in the short grass, and then at some point later in the week, everyone's going to find some rough, and the big, brawny, beefy guys are going to be able to mash it out of the rough. So I like targeting some of those shorter hitters in the market. Denny McCarthy really isn't as short as you might think he is, but I also like targeting really good putters and single-round investment. So I'm going to go with McCarthy, who has a nice record, not only at Muirfield Village, lost in the playoff to Victor Hovland a couple of years ago, but plays well at big golf courses, which you might not realize, but Torrey Pines, who was top 5 earlier this year. Where else? There was one other.
Quail Hollow.
Quail Hollow. There you go. Of course. Just a couple of weeks ago. So he plays big golf course as well. This should be a good one. Aaron Rye coming off a miscut. Nice little leverage play here. Just think he's going to come back and sprinkle the fairways in the opening round. So guys in that mid-tier that I'm looking at this week for Thursday plays.
Speaking of the mid-tier, normally I expect to see you throwing out these bombs, Sobel, throwing the 100 to 1s, and Sia's going the longest odds on the board this week with his 3 plays for FRLs, and I actually really like all of them. Do tell.
Yeah. These first-round leaders, I do want to disclose, these numbers are all on FanDuel. You might find lesser numbers at some of the other sports books, but I still like even at 45 to 1, I think it's a reasonable number, which a lot of the other sports books are offering. Well, we're trying to check boxes here when it comes to first-round leaders. We're looking for, obviously, spike potential, but for me, I'm also looking for course history, and all 3 of these guys have it. I'm looking for course fit, and I would say probably 2 of the 3 have it. Maybe, you can make arguments that Sepp Straka's short game, Matt Fitzpatrick off the tee, not necessarily accurate, but all 3 of these guys have been really, really successful. We're going to talk about a couple of these guys later in the show, really successful at Muirfield Village. And we know they can pop. We know the recent form has been good for all of them, including Matt Fitzpatrick, by the way, in a small sample size, starting to really pick up. So I like all of these guys at 55 to 1, even a little lesser of a number. By the way, I do want to point out, we've got the weather up here, courtesy of Matt. So if you notice the wind and the gusts, they're not that different from AM to PM. And I noticed that too before I looked at this graphic. Like you might have a little bit of a higher gust, maybe a touch higher wind in the afternoon. But I think the important part here to note from a first-round leader perspective is that the temperature is going to be pretty low when these guys get out there at 7:30 in the morning when they're teeing off. And so I actually went with the PM guys because while the wind will be a touch up, and I'm saying this now 2 days beforehand, this could change. While the wind might be a touch up in the afternoon, the temperature is also going to be in a good spot in like the mid 70s. And so that's kind of what I'm looking for. These are all guys that are teeing off between 12 and 1:30.
Sia, you're getting to the point where you're going to take over as our official early Wedge Tuesday show weatherman from Patrick McDonald, who I've appointed as that over the last 2 years.
Take it, please.
Giving us wind speed, direction. I don't know. You're teaching all of us. But Sia, listen, the most well-educated of any of us, so I can't really argue with that. Coming up next, if you like to play matchups, you're going to love this next segment. Sobel and Patrick have 4 different ones for you. And, I love my parlays. So we'll see what they have coming up after we hear from one of our sponsors.
Get ready.
Wait a second. I thought we were going tubing.
All 3 Sonic the Hedgehog movies and Knuckles are now streaming on Paramount+.
And everyone loves it.
Every adventure.
Just try to keep up.
Every face-off.
This ends now.
And every moment that will have you saying,
Where have you been? My entire life!
It's showtime!
All 3 Sonic the Hedgehog movies and the entire Sonic universe are now streaming on Paramount+.
So I'm going to start with this one. Sobel, Daniel Berger is getting very, very close to my no bet list here. I mean, he misses the cut. What was that? He's getting close. It's frustrating. Which Daniel Berger are you going to get? So are we buying or are we selling Daniel Berger this week?
I'm buying Berger. Look, I've been buying Berger most of the year. I'm not going to jump off now. I don't love him in like the outright market. I don't think he's going to finish like top 5, but this is a big ballpark for Jordan Spieth, who, the driving distance is there, but the rest of the game's just not there for Jordan right now. I'd love to see it. I think he's going to long-term figure it out and be better, but right now Daniel Berger is the better golfer, and I'm taking Daniel Berger as a favorite in this matchup. And the other guy, I like Keegan Bradley. It's a good course for Keegan Bradley. Keegan Bradley hits it long and straight, which usually works at most golf courses, but especially more so at Muirfield Village. Then Russell Henley, I'm not even sure I've seen anything from Russell Henley in the last month and a half. So I'm going to be fading Russell Henley for the time being, and especially on a bigger ballpark.
In a bigger ballpark, though, Patrick, Ludwig Oberg seems to make a lot of sense, except the fact that he's not in great form. We're fading him for Shane Lowry now? That's what we've resorted to?
Yeah, pretty much. It should be a good fit for Ludwig, but you think about his iron play being poor, the green and regulation percentage being significantly lower at this place compared to other PGA Tour events, which means short game's going to be tested. His short game's not great either. Meanwhile, you have Lowry, accurate off the tee, good iron player, easily could have won in Philly if he wasn't on your do not bet list. I imagine he would have gotten across the finish line if that was the case.
Yeah, he'll learn.
So I will take Lowry minus 105, although Ludwig did play well here last season. And then I'm taking Denny minus 120 over Sung Jae. Sung Jae is always tough because he could just really chip and putt his way around a golf course. The iron play has been so bad this year for some reason. Denny, like Jason said, surprisingly very good on long golf courses like Torrey Pines and Quail Hollow, and obviously here too. So I'll take him at minus 120.
See, you're going to start out in round 1. We love these Thursday cashable things that can build the bankroll so we can bet live in progress with profit boosts during the weekend.
Yeah, this one might also appear on the early edge tomorrow morning. And I do, Alex, you have a question that I'm going to answer in the chat as well, because it's a really good question. Round 1, Nick Taylor minus 110 over Jacob Bridgman. I think Nick Taylor at 6,500 is kind of sneaky for DFS. I just want to put that out there. His history isn't altogether bad. I mean, he's been, a little checkered lately, but typically pretty good on approach, and certainly the short game can come and go. But he's got good history here, and that's kind of an emphasis point for me here with Jacob Bridgman with no history. And Jacob Bridgman, we were all on Jacob Bridgman like 2 months ago. It's been bad ever since. I mean, he is just not coming around, and I don't think this is a particular good course fit for him either. Like, the iron play should be okay for Jacob Bridgman. The long iron play in particular, that's part of the reason I liked him some time ago. But there's nothing else there for him right now. And I think he's going to find, on a new course to him, I think he's going to find a lot of trouble where Nick Taylor knows how to navigate this course. So in round 1 in particular, like versus a tournament matchup, I actually like the round 1 matchup a lot better because Nick Taylor, this is very familiar grounds, and he's been successful here before. So I'm going to fade Jacob there, unfortunately. Top Australian, Adam Scott. I like this number more than anything. Plus 150 over Cam Davis and Min Woo Lee. We know Cam Davis and Min Woo Lee have some upside, particularly Min Woo Lee, but I just don't think this is the course for Min Woo Lee. I think he's going to find trouble. I don't think he's going to find greens in regulation, especially with the bad iron play. Scott has bad iron play too, but overall, I like his history a little bit better here. I like what he did at the PGA Championship. And my guess is Adam Scott is one of those guys that is going to pop at signature events and majors. And not pop in a huge way, but pop in a way where he's going to be a little bit better than he's been at some of these other events. I'm going to take Adam Scott plus 150. The question from Alex Jones is whether I would take him top Oceania at plus 210, which includes the New Zealander Ryan Fox. The answer to that is a definite yes. Ryan Fox, I was a little afraid of because he has some history here. It's decent. And obviously he's playing pretty well. So I preferred to keep him out. But if you have top Oceania only, I don't mind it plus 210. This play, top Australian, is over at BetMGM, FYI.
So Fabian earlier in the show in the chat said, any love for Adam Scott? Well, there's your answer. Rick, our buddy Rick, said no, Fabian. Actually, yes, Fabian. There is some love courtesy of Sia.
It's more of a fade of the other two guys, if I'm being totally honest. But I do think Adam Scott at signature events and at majors, and I think we saw a little bit of evidence of that at the PGA Championship. I think he's I think it's almost like the Justin Rose argument where like he's more, they're just more inclined to do well at these bigger events.
I'm going back to what works for us, Sia. Top Canadian, Corey Connors, plus 140. Sobel talked about him earlier on. All he has to do is, beat Mackenzie Hughes, Taylor Pendrith, Nick Taylor, and Adam Hadwin, who, Hadwin finished third last year. So, and Connors has never been in the top 10 here, I don't think. I can't offhand, but he's registered 4 top 10s and 7 top 20s since March. Ball striking has been excellent. It's at its peak right now. Kind of seems overdue for a top 10 here. I think he's going to do that. I think he's going to beat the field of Canadians at plus 140. And then how about this one? The winning score over 274.5 at minus 120. So those of you who do some math here, that's 13 under par is a win for us. 14 under par is a loss. The over is 5-0 in the last 5 years, albeit John Rahm was disqualified. He was blowing this number away, got disqualified in 2021. Cantlay finished 13 under par. And you know that Jack Nicklaus is going to be diabolical come the weekend with his greens. Sobel, are you with me or against me on this over pick?
Surprisingly, EC, I'm actually with you on this one. I think that's a smart play.
Thank you. Patrick, with or against?
I'm with you. I like it.
All right, 274.5. Last week, I gave out the big guns against the field. I said it was a can't-miss bet. As we learned, there's no such thing as a can't-miss bet when it comes to golf, especially, or any betting. All right, let's move on to finishing positions. We're going to start with you. Go back to you, Patrick, with a guy that was up towards the top of the leaderboard last week, finished inside the top 10, probably actually finished, third, Bud Cauley?
Yeah, Bud Cauley playing some great golf, getting him nearly 2.5 to 1 to finish inside the top 20 at plus 240, doing it in a very sustainable manner throughout the bag, gaining strokes pretty much everywhere, and the putter is good. So hasn't played this golf course a ton lately, obviously, due to injury and form. But we saw in March, once he got on a run there, that he kind of kept it going after the Players' Championship, stringing together a number of good starts. So I'm hoping that's what he does this week, too. And at a top 20 at that price, I thought it was too good to pass up.
So, but let's start with Tony Finau here, since you and Sia overlap with Siwoo Kim. Why do you like Finau?
Look, I've said for a long time that I think Tony Finau is a top 5 talent in the world. I will retract that for the current time being because I don't think he can break into the Scheffler, Rory, Xander, Bryson, John Rahm quintet that's there right now. But I still feel like Tony Finau is kind of a forgotten man. He's really, really talented. I don't want to say he's an underachiever. He's won 6 times on the PGA Tour. He's contended for a few major championships, but he's a little bit of an underachiever. I still think that better things are coming for Tony Finau, both in the short term and the long term. I think he wins a major at some point someday, I think. But in the short term, I do think that he's starting to play some good golf, 2 straight top 20 finishes, and very quietly is kind of trending upwardly in a gradual moment right now. And then I know you want to get to Sia and his Siwoo Kim. I'll start with mine.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Look, this is just the perfect intersection of what we look for. I mean, when we sit down, at least for myself, when I sit down on Saturday, Sunday, start doing my research, start writing down notes, I'm like, all right, well, Siwoo Kim has 3 top 20 finishes in his last 4 starts. The other one was 28th. He wasn't that far off this past week at Colonial. And he's got 5 top 20s in his last 5 starts at Muirfield Village. All right, let's put them together, and you got a top 20 finish this week. Seems to make sense to me.
Makes sense. Sia, what do you want to add to that with Siwoo?
There's not much to add. I mean, again, what are you looking for? You're looking for a course fit, you're looking for recent form, and you're looking for course history, and he literally checks all of those boxes. There's no such thing as a safe play, especially in a signature field, but Siwoo Kim, top 20, a guy that is coming in with good form and who was literally top 20 or better the last 5 times he's been to Muirfield Village. It's all adding up to another good tournament from Siwoo Kim. And for the record, I think it's not that I think a top 20 is conservative, but I would be looking at the top 10 markets too. I think there's ladder potential for Siwoo Kim, especially since I think, again, going back to the original, the first portion of the show, I'm not sure that second tier right now is that much better than the quote third tier, which includes Siwoo Kim. So I like him top 20 at that plus number, just like Jason. And then Fitzpatrick top 20 plus 138. I like the number here. I love Fitzpatrick's history here. Really, really good history here. And I think he's another guy where the game is starting to round into form. We don't have a big enough sample size, but if we had a big sample size, the top 20 wouldn't be plus 138, would it? It would be more like minus 125 or something, right? So I'm trying to catch this at the right time with Matt Fitzpatrick, top 20 plus 138.
Yeah, I mean, see, I'll piggyback off that. Fitzpatrick has 2 top 5s and 3 top 10s in his last 5 Memorial tournaments. I mean, hard to argue with that. Plus, he had a T23 at the Truist, and then he had a T8 at the PGA Championship. So we're getting that form is back. I'm not saying he's going to win, even though I will be placing some without money market on him. Without market money, easy for me to say, on Matt Fitzpatrick. But still at this number, I like it. Siwoo Kim was actually one that I considered, so I can't really argue with that. And then I'm going to go, this one I found on Bet365, Joe Highsmith for a top 30 at plus 145. This is Patrick's guy that, to be honest, earlier in the year, I was like, who is this guy? He made the cut on the number at the Cognizant, goes out and wins, makes Patrick look like a genius at 110 to 1. Who designed that course, Patrick, that he won on in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida?
I believe it was Tom Weiskopf.
Come on, it was a Jack Nicklaus course in Palm Beach Gardens, for goodness sakes. PGA National. So you know what? I'm going with it again. Listen, we're looking for a top 30. All he's got to do is finish better than what? There's 72 players in the field. Finish in the top half. A few better than that. Top 30 plus 145, and we can cash it. Guys in the chat, we love it. Absolutely. David Talk says, Tommy Fleetwood, top 20, minus 125 is an easy cash. I mean, probably, but nothing is an easy cash when it comes to golf. As we saw on Sunday, didn't you think Ben Griffin, after 2 holes with a 5-shot lead, was an easy cash? Nothing is easy when it comes to golf. Coming up next, the Do Not Bet list may be in for a scare this week, according to one of our panelists. Who is it and why? We'll find out next after one of our sponsors.
The crowd loves champions. Gladiator 2 is an epic spectacle. To amuse you is my only wish.
The glory is yours, not mine.
Very good. Gladiator 2, rated R, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
All right, so every week we've done this show. I think we're on the 14th week here, and my Do Not Bet list has survived pretty much 12 of them. Victor Hovland, it was a lucky win. It was fluky. Shouldn't have happened. We should have been in the clear there. Nonetheless, this is a week where I'm actually a little scared. Matt Fitzpatrick is on there. Patrick Cantlay makes sense here. Shane Lowry
Cameron
makes
Young.
sense. No, we're not talking about it. Zalatoris is a win because he's out until the fall. So we've cleared that one. Xander Schauffele is over 10 to 1 this week. So I do have to worry about that. So we've got some dangers on the board. But we're going to start with you, Sobel. All right, your outrights. You came in your storyline. You said these outright odds are stupid. And then you're taking a guy that has won 1 time in the United States on the PGA Tour at 28 to 1.
Yes, he has as many PGA Tour victories or actually more than Corey Connors, because he got one last year with Rory McIlroy. He did all the
that
heavy
doesn't
lifting.
count. That doesn't.
No, he did all the heavy lifting. I don't even think Rory was there. They just handed Rory a trophy and he sang Journey afterwards. Shane Lowry. Look, I love the placement of this tournament. We've seen signature events before major championships the week before so far this year. And it's like, it's a little too something. And then the week after a major, and that's a little too something else. This feels like Goldilocks would like the place where it is in the schedule. 2 weeks after one major, 2 weeks before the next major. All of that said, it's easy for us as fans of the games who are going to consume the product this weekend to say, this feels right. You know, every other week we have a bigger type of event on the PGA Tour with the best players who are competing. That said, for the players themselves, I can tell you, this is one of those weeks where if you're a little fatigued, if you still got quail in the rearview mirror and you're looking ahead to Oakmont in a couple of weeks, you're like, man, I need a little downtime. This is where we start seeing some guys, I'm not going to say disinterested, but maybe growing disinterested as the week continues. If you're not playing your best golf and you just kind of want to get out of there, there is a cut this week, but it's only going to be about 20 guys who are not making the weekend. All that said, I like the players who have not tasted victory in a little while. I'm still not buying on Corey Connors at a number this short, but I will buy on Shane Lowry this short. He's proven he can do it. What I've seen from Shane, I feel like the last 2 starts for him exemplify exactly what we've come to find from Shane Lowry over the years. If he's interested, if the golf course keeps his attention, if his mind is right, like we saw for the Truist at Philly Country Club 3 weeks ago, I'm all in on Shane. Shane never likes Quail Hollow. He didn't like it when he showed up. He didn't like it when he was playing. He didn't like it when he wasn't getting rulings out on the golf course. He was never going to play well there. If he's not motivated, if his mind's not in the right place, he's an auto fade for me. But I think Shane does like Muirfield Village. He loves playing for Jack. And so I'll take him in this number. And then, again, I don't understand. I'm using Corey Connors as the easy example. Tommy Fleetwood's another one. How are those guys shorter numbers in the outright market than Hideki Matsuyama this week? Hideki's won 3 times in the last 2 years. He's got a win already this year. He's won a major championship. I think that's a great number on a guy who's won here already. Granted, it was 11 years ago.
If I lose to Shane Lowry and one of my guys there on the right finishes second, I may do this show next week with a bag on my head. That would be pretty bad. Patrick, I think you're a genius. The Ben Griffin pick was incredible last week.
Yeah,
However,
Thank you.
Jordan Spieth really 50 Jordan Spieth shorter than Ben Griffin last week. You're playing Jordan Spieth this week?
Yeah, this is my Leroy Jenkins play of the year, Jordan Spieth. You kind of just got to feel it and go for it, right? And Sobel said it best. Is his game in great shape? No. But there have been parts, there have been signs, and he plays well around this golf course. 8 top 20 finishes in his last 11 appearances. So I think Spieth is going to get on a run here. He's close. I said it was Scotty. He's not going to get on quite a Scotty run, but he's gonna start contending, I say, 2 or 3 times before the summer's over. And it starts this week. And then the other pick, 50-1. Oh, captain, my captain, Keegan Bradley. How can you not pick this guy? Second tee to green over the last 3 months. Only player in the field to rank top 20 in driving accuracy and driving distance. Number 1 around the green during that span. Oh, he can't putt. Oh, he can't putt. Guess what? He can putt these greens. He can putt these greens. So give me Captain Keegan 50-1 to cement his spot on his team come this fall.
Can he do that though? Can he play? Can he be a playing captain? Is that like a thing?
Oh yeah. What do you think I've been talking about for the past 3 months?
No, but is there a precedent of that happening in recent?
The first since Arnie. First since Arnie.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Tiger did at the President's Cup.
I mean, but the President's Cup and the Ryder Cup
telling me you
are
don't
on a different level.
Tiger, Keegan Bradley on the same playing field.
It's basically the same guy.
Speaking with Keegan a little bit, I can tell like he really doesn't want to, but he almost feels like his hand is forced if he goes out and plays really good golf. And he's going to try to play good golf because that's what he does. And so there's a little bit of a catch-22. I really think he just wants to focus on being a captain and heading the team at Bethpage, but also he doesn't want to put his team in a disadvantage. Like, are you going to put Andrew Novak on the team over yourself if you're playing better golf than him? I don't feel like that's the right move either. So there's going to be a lot of decisions to be made later in the year.
That will be a fascinating one for sure. Sia, I love your picks here. I really do. We're in the without market, without Scotty, Xander, Morikawa, and JT. I mean, Siwoo Kim and Matt Fitzpatrick. You're not taking Fitzpatrick as an outright, so hey, I'm good with it.
Yeah, that's true. Before I get there, can I just there's the word on the street is that the early Wedge chat is the best chat. And can I just say the conspiracy theory that I've just now heard for the first time from Joseph Boza about the memorial with the positive COVID test is, listen, Jason, I know it's not actually real. It's just hilarious that he articulated he supposedly tested positive for COVID after getting to -19. He was going to embarrass this tournament. The idea being that we had to pull him off the course, which is just so crazy. I just love that you wrote it down. Jason, go ahead.
I don't know if this ever came out, but I feel like the statute of limitations has passed. And granted, this is hearsay. I'm not reporting it necessarily. The difference between okay, my sources are telling me, and you know what I heard from a pretty reliable place, but I'm not reporting. It's 4 years past. John Rahm went to Muirfield Village that week knowing his wife had already tested positive for COVID. There was always going to be a good chance that he contracted COVID and came up positive later in the week. So I hear. And so I don't think he was as shocked as everyone else was when he turned up to be positive on that Saturday afternoon.
It was just unfortunate because he was blowing away the field.
Sure.
Yeah. Either way, I just think it's again. Joseph, I don't think that's true, but I had to throw that. It's just a funny comment. Let's see. Okay, back to my outrights. So yeah, what's interesting here is that I'm getting numbers, and just full disclosure on my 2 picks, they're over at FanDuel in the without Scheffler, Schauffele, Morikawa, and JT market. And what's interesting about them is that in the winner without Scotty market, just that market, these numbers are actually shorter at other places. So effectively, I'm getting a without Scotty Scheffler number, and I'm getting the other 3 guys out of it as well. Siwoo Kim at 33-1, Matt Fitzpatrick at 35-1. I've already kind of sung their praises. Matt Fitzpatrick, his history here is excellent. His form it's absolutely coming around. The around the green play, short game is really going to pay dividends for him like it normally does. And then Siwoo Kim, I think he's coming in with form and with history that we would, if it was Xander's profile or if it was Cantley's profile, and we would be like, oh my, he's a shoe-in to win this tournament. He's a shoe-in to top 5. But because it's Siwoo Kim, we're just not so sure. I'm going to go ahead and take the bet 33-1 without Xander, Scotty, Morikawa, and JT.
Here's why we're going to make a lot of money on this show this week. Scotty Scheffler is going to win, and I'll have a parlay for you in the next segment. In second place, we're going to hit, one of these. In fact, let's start right here. I think we're going to start with Colin Morikawa is going to finish second. He's finished solo second here twice, 2021 and last year. And he won an alternate event at Muirfield Village in 2020 that worked a challenge right after COVID. Patrick picked him for FRL. Not only is that going to happen, he's going to hold on for second after Scotty beats him by 4 shots, according to Patrick. And then we're going to hit either Sia or me are going to hit the without Scheffler, Schauffele, Morikawa, and JT market. I like Hideki. Sobel gave him out. I don't need to add much more to that, but Hideki, I think, is good value here at 25-1. And then Denny McCarthy, you guys have talked about him as well. I mean, he finished T8 a couple weeks ago at Wells Fargo at the PGA Championship, which is normally at Quail Hollow, which was at Quail Hollow, easy for me to say, which is normally the Wells Fargo, and that's why I was thinking now the Truist. So Denny McCarthy can play at these longer golf courses. He's lost strokes here each of the last 5 years, but he's gained nearly 23 strokes putting over the last 3 years and has 2 top 5s over that span. He lost in the playoff 2 years ago to Victor Hovland and still is looking for that first PGA Tour win at 30-1 in this without market. I will take my chances. Now, to the long shots here, this is where things get fun because Sobel is going outside the box. We're going to go to the U.S. Women's Open. This is what I'm talking about here. We're giving out picks not just for the PGA Tour. Sobel, I can't wait to see what you have for us because, to be honest, I've never heard of either of these 2 golfers that you're going to mention.
Wait, let EC try to pronounce them. Are they crazy names?
No, the names aren't even tough. One of them has actually won a U.S. Women's Open before, so you should be embarrassed that you've never heard of Aylin Kim, who's having a terrific year. By the way, I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna hijack the whole show. First I'll start with the 2 guys from the Memorial. Taylor Pendrith. A lot of people in the chat were saying a little worried about top Canadian for Connors because of Pendrith coming off top 5 at Quail a few weeks ago. I'm not mad at Davis Thompson. I'm just disappointed. I thought he was going to have a terrific year, and it just hasn't materialized. And I still think that on a big ballpark, he's got a chance. But boy, Davis, let's get it going. He's disappointing me. All right, now we get to the U.S. Women's Open. And
yeah.
I'm actually a little embarrassed that we haven't talked Women's Open until this point in the show. It's my favorite women's event of the year, not only to watch, but to also bet. I've got 10 players. If you go to my Twitter handle, you can find the article that I wrote for BetMGM. I'll have some video up soon as well. I've got 2 listed here that you see on the screen. Aylin Kim won 4 years ago this very golf tournament when nobody knew who she was. This year, she's 10th in strokes gained total. She's 10th in driving distance, and she's got a bunch of top 10 finishes already. Profiles really well. I thought she was going to be in the top 10 on the odds board. She's actually tied for 25th at 50-1, which I think is a tremendous amount of value. Ingrid Lindblad has a win already on the LPGA so far this year. She's been a little all or nothing, but she's 22, 23 years old. A Swede, went to LSU. She was the number 1 ranked amateur in the world for a while before turning professional. She's got a win already in her rookie season. She's going to be likely the rookie of the year if she passes Rio Takeda, but I really like her. And guys, I'm just going to reel off 8 more names for you.
Go for it. Yeah.
Just for the hell of it. Hyoju Kim, I won betting her on the LET a couple of weeks ago. She was 3-1 in a tournament where nobody else I'd even heard of, and she wound up blowing away the field on that final round. And so watch out for Hyoju Kim. She was in that playoff at the Chevron a few weeks ago. Yulimi No has been playing some really good golf right now. Major record isn't great, but she's only 23 years old. She's been out there forever. Arya Jutanagarn, another one who got to that 5-player playoff at the Chevron. She's a 2-time major champion already. Lynn Grant started her season with a 3rd-place finish. In her last start, she was 4th. And between that, she did absolutely nothing, but might be coming out of that funk a little bit right now. She mashes the ball. Patty Tavatanakit is a little bit of an all-or-nothing option, but the price is nice at 90-1. Nana Kirst Madsen, another big hitter. We're talking 150-1 at this point, but she's 11th in driving distance, 3rd in greens and regulation, 21st in putting average. Seems like a pretty good combo to me. And then Gabby Ruffles at 250-1. She was a rookie last year. Hasn't played great this year, but was contending going into Sunday at Mayakoba this past week. And Madeline Sagstrom, another pretty big hitter. She won the match play. She hasn't done much else, but again, 250-1. Why not? A little sprinkle.
Boy, that is insightful, Sobel. I love it. Giving us 10 picks, and I'm glad you didn't make me say those names, because if you did, it would have been really embarrassing. So for a few of them. So you know what? I appreciate that. I'll give my pick here in a second, but see, you're going back to the without market and going to a guy that we talked about earlier in Bud Cauley.
Yeah, it's without the big 4. I mean, Bud Cauley is a guy that has obviously really spiked. He's in really good form. We've seen him play hard courses very recently. And if the ball striking is there, like it has been some tournaments, and the short game is there, like it has been for some tournaments, I feel like if this guy puts it together in this without market, which most importantly excludes Scotty Scheffler, it would not surprise me at all if he's inside the top 5 somewhere on Sunday afternoon. So at 80-1 without Scotty, Xander, Colin, and JT, it's an easy number. Again, these are sprinkle bets for me. It's an easy number for me to throw, $5 to $10 down on somebody.
Sobel, for all those names, as Justin alluded to in the chat, where can we find those picks? Do you have those written somewhere on your Twitter or at BetMGM somewhere?
Both at betmgm.com and on my Twitter at Jason Sobel Golf. You can find all those plays. In fact, I just rattled them off the article I just wrote. So if you want to go find them where they're listed, they should be there.
Scott, as you said, it does pay to watch live. Scott in the chat, it does pay to watch live. To get that, that's great intel. Now, I'm going with Lydia Ko at 25-1 to win the U.S. Women's Open, but I'm going to parlay that with Scotty Scheffler to win, and that's how you get both of them at nearly 79-1. So Lydia Ko is going for the Grand Slam, and we already saw the career Grand Slam happen with Rory McIlroy at the Masters. So there's my angle. Plus, Lydia Ko also won earlier this year, and she's arguably the best LPGA player on the circuit. So you know what? Best PGA player, best LPGA player, in my opinion, are right up there at almost 79-1. And then we got to get another parlay in for Scotty. Scotty to win, Colin Morikawa, who I like top 5 because he's going to finish second. And then Denny McCarthy top 10 at nearly 57-1. So I feel good about that. Patrick, any additional thoughts? I know you didn't make a long shot pick. Anything you got for the U.S. Women's Open? Can you throw in a name or two?
No, I was talking to Justin Ray a little bit about it, and he was trying to see if the men's U.S. Open there in 17 could lead us down a path. And he said, although Erin Hill is on paper as a huge ballpark, very long, that there are some short hitters and accuracy actually reigns supreme by week's end. Think about Brian Harmon, Ricky Fowler was in the mix, Tommy Fleetwood too. So don't fall in love with only the long hitters. So someone like Lydia Ko could totally contend.
Would you, Sobel, look at Nelly Korda even at 11-1 odds, or is that too short for you?
Nelly Korda, 2 career top 10s of the U.S. Women's Open. She's had plenty of chances. Not like she's only played 4 times. I believe 10 starts at this event. Lydia Ko, 2 top 10s in, I think, 13 starts at the U.S. Women's Open. In fact, the top 5 on the Rolex rankings, which is their world ranking on the LPGA and ladies golf right now, 34 career starts at the U.S. Women's Open and 0 wins between them. That includes Korda, includes Ko, includes Gino Titakun, who might be the best player out there right now, even if the ranking doesn't show it. I'm just going deeper down the board. It just makes me want to bet this event even more.
Tell you what, as we've said, it pays to watch live. And if you're watching, please hit the like button and make sure, if you haven't already, to follow the SportsLine page. And I mean, Sia's on here 8 days a week, something like that, with different shows. So check that out. A lot of great content, and there will be even more this fall when it comes to football season. So looking forward to that.
Yep.
This is the area where yeah, of course. It's my favorite. Come on, it's the best. College football. We're 100 days out from NFL season starting today. It cannot come soon enough. 100 days from today.
Any futures?
Not yet, but actually, Sia, you put out a video, I believe, that with NFL futures on the SportsLine page. Do you have something out there?
No, not really. Not really. I mean, we talk about it on the early edge here and there, but no, like I haven't put anything out. But I'm sure, to be honest, on the SportsLine YouTube channel, I'm sure within the next probably month, we'll start to put out some futures content.
I'm going to give you one just off the bat. Ravens, Commanders, Super Bowl, just for the Sia Nejad factor, both in the Beltway area. How about that? That'd give you something to talk about there. Ravens,
Reasonable.
Commanders, get that at like 40-1, something like that. So throwing that out there, just to meet in the Super Bowl. This area, you notice how I'm trying to stall here because I don't really want to talk about OAD. It's ugly. We had 3 of us had missed cuts last week. Sia, of course, did not, and that's why he's 10th overall. Sal 509. I actually had a friend who texted me last week. He was watching the show, our show, in the middle of the night, and he goes, "Who is Sal 509? I need his picks." I said, "I have no idea," but
you and me both.
Yeah, no kidding. 13 million, blowing away the hey, near dive. You're doing great. The next names, good job. See it, 10th place. Time to move up this week, and I think you have the winner, or not the winner, but close to it. Who you got for your OAD?
I actually hate this pick, and if I wasn't playing no, I really do. Which means, I guess, in Patrick's world, that means he's definitely going to win. So I guess I have to adjust my outright card. But when you're playing from the lead, I do want to I'm going to end up taking a guy that's relatively chalky. I actually really want to do something crazy, like put in Siwoo Kim or somebody sort of in that range. But it's not the time to pull a move like that when I've got like a big pockets. So I'm going to go with Colin Morikawa. Hopefully you all are all right about him. And, I'm encouraged by what he's done in his course fit, but like he hasn't been that great this year in terms of like how he's finished tournaments. So hopefully he proves me wrong and ends up first or maybe second in the signature event and collects me a bunch of money, and I vault up near first place with Sal.
Okay, let's go down the board here. We all have different picks. Patrick, I'll start with Sobel here. Hideki, it's a great pick. I can't argue with it one bit.
Before I get to Hideki, I just want to point out, all you guys, all 3 of you have mentioned Colin Morikawa. I still feel like this is going to sound weird. He's playing, first of all, with the guilt of firing longtime caddy, his only caddy since turning pro, JJ Djokovic, just a few weeks ago. And I feel like that's not him. Like, he doesn't like it. And he's kind of playing outside of his skin a little bit, if that makes some sense. And then the technical part of this is still trying to work with new caddy Joe Griner. Joe's a very good caddy, but they're still trying to figure things out. I can't get there on Colin Morikawa right now. And I've been on him a lot over the last year and a half when he wasn't winning golf tournaments, but he's a little bit of a fade for me right now. Not that I think he's going to play badly, just I'm not as high on him as you guys are. That said, Hideki this week, look, I feel like Hideki lulls you to sleep. If you go and look at what he did before he won the Masters 4 years ago, it was like 32nd, 40th, missed cut, wins the Masters. So I know he missed the cut at Quail Hollow. Patrick went over the range, watched him hit drivers 340 yards, just smashing like Bryson when he was over there. Last week, he was okay. He was up there for a couple days, finished, I think, 36th place, nothing special. He just lulls you to sleep. All of a sudden, you go, not really thinking about Hideki. The number drifts a little bit in the outright markets. Bang, that's when you hit.
Well, Patrick doesn't have that approach. He and producer Josh are swinging for the fences this week because he already told us who's going to win the tournament. So, Scotty Scheffler, huh?
Yeah, now we go. 4 million. 4 million on the line. Got to take it. So we're going to go Scheffler here. We're going to win with someone at the Canadian, and then U.S. Open. We'll get fancy with someone. And all of a sudden, Sia will be outside the top 10 because ya boy will be right there instead.
Boy, that's
playing
ambitious.
safe. Playing safe. Sia's doing 4 corners way too early in the ballgame.
Mitchell in the chat is grateful that I don't pick his players. He's up there in Sia range, we'll say, not in EC range towards the bottom. Mitchell, I'm going to do you a favor every week. I think I've used all the top guys anyways. So we're going random picks every week, and we're going to start with Denny McCarthy because I'm going to finish arguably towards the bottom here. So I'm going to do it with pride-ish, and I'm going with Denny McCarthy this week because I think he's going to get a top 10, and I just need somebody to make money. Watch him miss the cut now just because I did this. Last year in the Rick Run Good Challenge, I cashed, finished inside the top 100. I have been miserable in OAD this year. Did hit Rory at the Masters, but outside of that, awful. Not for this pool, even worse. So for those of you who have Denny McCarthy, you might want to change your picks right now. It is time for my favorite segment of the show when producer Matt pulls up the sheet for all of our picks, and Sobel gets to tell us stories from Dublin, Ohio, and the Memorial. Do tell.
Oh, I've got a lot of stories from the Memorial over the years. 10 years ago, this is a very quick story, by the way. 10 years ago, I think it was this year that I did the first ever podcast that Jack Nicklaus was on. He had no idea what a podcast was. He got a little flustered. He's like, I don't know anything about this new stuff. And I go, Jack, you're going to sit there and talk. And we're just going to, he goes, all right, do I have to do anything different? I go, no. You talk. Let's call it an interview instead of a podcast. But he'd never even, he was interested in it though. He had never heard the term podcast. He wanted to talk about it. We wound up talking 10 minutes of golf, and that's all we were supposed to have him for. And then he sat there for 20 minutes afterwards, still on the podcast, talking bone fishing, which he loves. And he told all these stories, and it was great. If you ever get Jack in a place where like Jack never wants to leave, especially this week, you'd think, well, it's his tournament. He's busy. He doesn't want to spend time with the media. He will not leave. I mean, he will answer every single question from every person. 2 quick Jack Nicklaus stories from the media room at the Memorial Tournament over the years. One of them, local reporter, you could tell they wanted something for the local constituency, where to watch golf at Muirfield Village. And they said, Jack, if you could watch anywhere on this great golf course with all these great viewing points, where would you go? And Jack said, well, I just sit on my couch at home. That's the best place to watch golf from. And it was like such a buzzkill. That the reporter was looking for something like Jack Nicklaus says, go to the 15th tee. And you can say, nah, Jack's like, just go home and watch on TV. The other one, and I started this with 10 years ago. That's when David Lingmerth won. Very, very memorable, obviously. No, maybe not. But Lingmerth won this tournament. I just happened to be sitting behind either his wife or maybe fiance at the time. And she got his parents from Sweden on a FaceTime call and just basically held up the FaceTime call while he's doing his press conference sitting next to Jack Nicklaus. Well, afterwards, I'm just kind of sitting there, and Jack came over and she said, Jack, I have David's parents on FaceTime. And it was just such a cute moment because as anyone with elderly relatives will tell you that anytime they get on a phone with FaceTime or anything like that, a Skype call, they look at each other. So Jack just grabs the phone, puts his face about an inch and a half away from him, and goes, hi, this is Jack Nicklaus, and speaks to them in those. And so it was funny. I wish I had gotten video of him doing the video, but I'm glad they had their moment. But it was just, I've just always remembered that. I just thought it was funny, but he was more than willing to sit there and talk to David Lingworth's parents who were up at 2 a.m. in Sweden watching their son win a tournament and do a press conference with Jack afterwards. So that's cool.
Pretty cool. That's a good one. That is a good Sobel story time. Mitchell has a good question. Jack may not be able to, who knows, hopefully he has years and years more to swing the opener at the Masters. Who would be next, Sobel? Who would you say would be in the line of succession for that opening tee shot?
It'll be Ben Crenshaw. Ben Crenshaw sort of kind of runs the champions dinner a little bit. He always gets up and speaks, and he's very revered in that room amongst the champions, amongst the members who are there, certainly with tournament chairman Fred Ridley. So I wouldn't be surprised if at some point, if he's needed, that Ben Crenshaw steps to that first tee at Augusta National.
Interesting. All right. Mitchell said Bernhard Longer. Would you put him up there as well on the list, or
maybe?
All right, this is what we find out. Patrick, any final thoughts going into this week? Do you hate your picks? Do you like your picks? Are we good this week?
I kind of like them, which is
darn it.
I know. So congratulations to Sia this week for hating his picks the most. So jealous of you. But no, I've got nothing else.
Sia, promote the live chat tomorrow. What time? 4 Eastern?
Tomorrow it's me and Jason doing the live chat. We'll be talking DFS. We'll be talking betting. Anything you want to know, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna answer it. Any question you have, make sure you're in that live chat. Go ahead, Jason.
4 p.m. Eastern, right?
Oh yeah, did I? Oh yeah, 4 p.m. Yeah, exactly.
No, you didn't say anything wrong. I'm just clarifying for myself. I have my calendar over here. I'm just making sure.
Yeah,
4 a.m. might be a little early. Yeah, for you.
I don't know. Sia works like you said, 25 hours a day. So I'm just making sure that
8 days a week, 25 hours a day, 8 days a week. Sia's on early. Yeah, sure. I'm telling you, he's the face of the brand. That's what I always say. Guys, another great show. Always love it. Thanks to all of you in the chat. You guys keep it entertaining, even the ones that trash my picks, especially in OAD. I deserve it. I can't argue with that. But hey, we have delivered winners for you over and over and over on this show. And I'm very, very proud of that. I love being a part of the Early Wedge crew. And producer Matt does an excellent job. So I always want to thank him. For Patrick McDonald, Sia Nejad, and Jason Sobel, I am Eric Cohen. As I always like to say, let's hit it big. Good luck.